Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Stretch! You can put it on the board! Yes!
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, and a big welcome in everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents. Everybody that may be listening from coast to coast, as well as everybody that may be watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, WOW, Charter, and independent cable affiliates. We're applicable, when applicable, as well as Hotel TV, same. And, of course, everybody that's listening in on all our streaming platforms, thank you for that. And on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook, a fun group. Talk about your favorite restaurants, your favorite foods, your favorite recipes. Make some friends, have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. You ever have that weird moment where you felt like maybe you're playing fantasy sports or something like that and everybody watches, or there are some people that just watch absolutely everything you do, almost like they're a fantasy sports stalker. Yeah, we all have those in our leagues, I suppose, and maybe it's those that are behind everybody else, or those that maybe had first place, and maybe they're looking up the ladder and saying, gee, what are they doing that I'm not doing when I was in first place for half of the season, for example, and maybe I need to watch what they're doing because my team just isn't doing it. This one's for you, Mr. You Know. The reality is, fantasy sports are just that. You've got to know how to manage your teams, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever the heck it is. You got to know how to pull your players. You're basically the general manager of your team. And there's a little bit of weirdness that happens every now and then, and some people accuse others of foul play, which somebody named Chun-Li had accused others of in a previous league. But, at the end of the day, when you look at fantasy sports, especially in a free league, it's just fun. It's fun, kind of like watching when a runner gets caught in the pickle and they screw up the pickle, right? When a runner gets caught in between bases, and it's just supposed to be really one throw, folks, that gets the runner out. But it's kind of like watching a disaster that's about to happen. It's the same kind of thing. So when you see stalkers that look at your fantasy moves in every possible way because they just can't seem to get theirs done, that's where it turns hilarious. But you know what else is really interesting is when something unusual happens on the field, in the locker room or whatnot, and you scratch your head and say, well, why did that happen? How the hell did that happen? And just like with that NFL player that was released after what? After kissing his teammate on the head. I mean, look, there are moments of weirdness, but maybe there are just genuine moments of affection. I can't really put my finger on the idea of what happened with the Raiders defensive tackle Christian Wilkins when, he was reportedly released recently after kissing a teammate on the head. That's what some sources, I guess, had told the Four-Letter Network. And as a matter of fact, that person from the Four-Letter Network said, quote, when you speak to people, they're inside the locker room, and they say that Christian playfully went to kiss a teammate on the top of the head, and those same people said that player took offense to it, close quote. I don't know about that. And he went on to say, so that's what everybody's been dancing around, an incident in the locker room where he allegedly playfully kissed a teammate on the top of the head. That teammate felt offended by it, and that's what a lot of this whole talk and speculation that people have just been floating around about. Close quote. I mean, look at it this way, folks. If you can't joke around and have fun with your friends, and maybe some of your teammates turn into your friends or whatever, their colleagues, I mean, have some fun for Christ's sake. What is the deal with this? Why does anybody want to make something so ridiculous into being ridiculous and into a big deal? I mean, look, there are other things that happen in the locker room, on the field, in the dugout, whatever, that happen that you scratch your head and say, well, okay, well, the whole butt slap thing, we're going to get to that in a minute. But the idea that, look, if you can't lighten up the team and have a little bit of fun with the team, and let's face it, this is a sport, and people play for fun. Yeah, they play for money, but come on. I mean, yeah, it's business, but have some fun out there, for Christ's sakes. And they say, well, the incident wasn't the sole reason that Wilkins was released, as he was still recovering from a Jones fracture in his left foot dating back the year previous. And the Raiders were able to void the remaining $35.2 million of guaranteed money owed to this particular player on his contract due to how he has treated his rehabilitation in the injury. Okay, so is this really about, hey, let's go get one of our guys, one of our company guys, to go say, well, I felt uncomfortable because this guy kissed me on top of the head, so we're going to deem that as inappropriate behavior? Now let's think about this. It sure seems to me, look, I'm on the outside. I'm not even in the locker room, and I'm here in Las Vegas where the Raiders are. But I got to tell you, folks, it stinks in the same way that there was conveniently, now I don't know the geological details behind it, but it's what I find interesting is there was the Russian earthquake of something like 8.5 or 8.8 on the Richter scale or something like that. But if you look at where it happened, kind of a remote spot, and if one leader is telling the other leader, hey, back off, don't get involved with what we're doing over here, let's go ahead and create an event to get that other leader off our back, and let's create an event that's going to make him focus on home. So let's possibly, I don't know if this is what happened, let's create an earthquake, which, because damn well, the government can't control the weather. They do that through something called HAARP. If you don't know what HAARP is, HAARP, you better look at it. It's using radio frequency to create weather situations. It's weather manipulation, and it's out there, folks. Just Google it, HAARP, and you'll learn about it. And there's several of these weather stations around the U.S. The U.S. has it. I think China has it. Russia may have it. I think Switzerland has it, or Finland has it, Sweden something. Anyway, check it out. HAARP. Okay, so, and I bring this up for a reason. To me, it's a pseudo event. So maybe there's an earthquake that happens in a remote location over in far eastern Russia where there's not a lot going on. And guess what? It's going to send the possibility of a tsunami over to Hawaii and to the Aleutian Islands and over to the west coast of the United States. Okay, look, stop looking at us and look at this instead. So it's a diversion. In the same way with this whole Wilkins situation with the Raiders, maybe, just maybe, somebody in the Raiders organization, I don't know for sure, I don't know anything, I'm just guessing here, right? This is for entertainment purposes only, if you know what I mean. And so maybe somebody in the Raiders organization could have said to somebody in the locker room, hey, find something on this particular person that we owe over $35 million to, because we don't want him on the team anymore, and maybe we'll give you a little bit of a special prize just for doing so, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not really sure how that works, but I'm sure you can imagine this is, again, for entertainment purposes only, if you know what I mean. But maybe this happened with the Raiders, and they say Wilkins was released with the designation of terminated vested veteran. Sources told that particular person from the Four Letter Network and the NFL Players Association. So they, of course, complied to his request to file a grievance regarding that particular release. And frankly, I would have done the same thing. Now, Wilkins, of course, if you look back, selected by the Dolphins, number 13 in the 2019 NFL Draft, and spent his first 5 seasons with the franchise before signing a 4-year, $110 million deal, including $84 million.75 guaranteed with the Raiders recently. And, of course, this particular guy was a couple of time college football national champion, that kind of stuff. And so maybe they just didn't want to pay him. They said, you know what, we've already given this guy $85 million thereabouts, so let's just go ahead and cancel this deal where we still owe him another $35. Let's just get out of this thing. Let's clear a roster spot and bring somebody else in there. Boy, that is one hell of an expensive mistake as I see it. And guess what? If I was, of course, that's me, but if I happened to be Christian Wilkins, I would absolutely seek counsel beyond the Players Association, and I would go right after that football team and their ownership, which, if, as memory serves me right, Mark Davis is one of the poorest owners in the NFL. You never know. He could sue the team and possibly get the team, if you know what I mean. So, I'm not sure. But in any event, I think it's wrong what they did to Christian Wilkins. And I hope, in my opinion, I hope he sues the daylights out of them and gets everything that he can, because you can't just manipulate people like that, and it's wrong. He didn't do anything wrong as I see it, but then again, my opinion doesn't matter. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
I gotta barbecue your Andy
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new to you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Folks, make sure you check them out. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our network affiliates, including our friends on Independence and over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us. Over in Montgomery, Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Columbus, Georgia, over on WAUD 1230 on the AM dial, and that is home of the Atlanta Braves. Welcoming everybody else up and down the heartland out to the West Coast, driving between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, the greater Southern California area, listening in on Highway Country Radio 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. That's home of the Vegas Golden Knights and the Raiders, of course. And, of course, hello to our friends up and down the West Coast, all the way out to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the Yankees, 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. And plus, hello to everybody on TV in all applicable cable markets, as well as hotel TV and everybody streaming. By the way, folks, if you're tuning in for the first time, we've teamed up with Vacation Buddies to try to help you travel a little bit. As a matter of fact, Vacation Buddies wants to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you can answer a simple trivia question. And the answer is one of these four. You guess it, you call them, you get it. Which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA championships? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Now, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this radio station, but they do want to give you a couple of nights in Vegas or in Orlando or in Branson. If you know the answer to that simple trivia question, 888-576-5777. So, weird moments in sports, right? So you had a kiss between, it wasn't between anybody. It was a player kissed another player on top of the head, kind of a joking thing, whatever, ends up getting essentially booted off the team, right? And so it seems to me that he would have a large lawsuit that he could file against the ownership of that team. And, of course, he filed his grievance through the NFL Player Association. But, you know, there are some weird things that happen in baseball that it sort of goes unchecked, and you ask yourself, how did that even happen? How did that come to be? And we think about, I don't know, you congratulate your teammates, whatever. You pat them on the head, pat them on the back, whatever. And look, I played football as a youngster, baseball all the way, to a high level. And the old butt slap was always nothing more than a sign of encouragement or respect for your play on the field. I don't know how it got so weird. And frankly, I don't even know how the butt slap even happened in the first place. I never liked when that happened to me, but I said, all right, whatever. It's part of the rodeo, I guess. But I never did that. I would pat people on the back or pat them on the head or on the shoulder or something. That's it. But never was it taken out of the game, and never was it done to a member, I guess, of the opposite sex on the same team. Think about that. It was just a teammate thing, nothing more. And look, you'd get it from a coach. You'd get it from a coach after, for example, in football, maybe you scored a touchdown, an interception, you made a great play, whatever. You never really thought much about it. It was really no big deal. And the coach was just telling you, hey, man, good job. But that was seemingly 100 years ago in the 1980s. But you ask yourself, what happened? Where did things go sideways? I don't know. And it seems to have migrated out of sports and into society. I mean, look, even when you watch it on TV and game shows, people are doing that. They're high-fiving, low-fiving, hitting each other on the ass. I don't even know how that stuff works. I mean, look, in modern society, it seems like you allegedly need to respect another person's space, their personal space, and don't touch them without their consent. Because at some point, society got a little bit weird, and they got sue happy on top of it. I don't don't even know how that happened. I mean, whatever happened to encouraging your teammates and whatever, and good old-fashioned fun? And I don't know. It just got to a very political point. I think the blue team has a lot to do with it, with all their political correctness and their alphabet of exceptions for this group and that group. I don't know. But, I mean, look, there are some instances of the butt slap that still, well, maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe it is a good thing. I don't know. One in a game amongst friends, maybe that a ref viewed in bad light because perhaps the refs believe in today's laws and societies that any contact is unwanted and unapproved. So another maybe out of a game that, I don't know, somebody had said it was a joke, right? And you say, well, it's just a joke. The guy was being a jerk, kind of telling the guy to lighten up, whatever. And another that happened in a clear view of thousands of people in the stands or whatever, maybe hundreds of thousands of television viewers or whatnot. And maybe it's like, hey, look, it was a butt slap. Say, hey, a job well done. But no, it was taken wrong. I mean, look, my question, in today's world and in society, should sports do everything they can to kill the culture of the butt slap? Because outside of sports, and given what happened to some players sometimes in sports, a butt slap can be looked at as an assault, even possibly a sexual act or sexual assault. Really? I mean, you got to think about it that way. Or should athletes learn to just do the butt slap to teammates only who perceive the move as a sign that other player is encouraged and they're encouraging them, or maybe telling them, hey, man, you made a good play? Or should society and certain people just chill and learn to understand where the move is coming from in the first place? I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. And so when you look at it legally, I mean, technically, it is an assault. Just in the same manner as you can, it's a battery too. In some cases, you can look at a verbal assault as the same way. Now, you could be yelling at somebody, and you could be so close to them that you're spraying on them. You could be inadvertently spraying spit on them and not realizing you're doing it. Well, guess what? That is a battery. That is assault and battery. Imagine that. Just when you thought you didn't touch anybody, nope, your spit actually touched them. So what do? You just step back and you yell at somebody from afar? Well, guess what? That's still verbal assault. How does that work? What if you're cheering your team on to victory and you're yelling and somebody on the other team, or here's where it gets even stranger, somebody in the seats gets offended by what is being said? Oh, yeah. I mean, that actually can happen. And, of course, that always deserves a round of boos. So what happens if somebody that goes to a ball game, let's say they're at a baseball game, and maybe the on-deck hitter sees his teammate hit a home run and he says something of encouragement to his teammate, but a fan hears it and the fan just gets sideways and they're suddenly traumatized from it? How do you deal with that? I don't think we've seen that one yet, but because I'm talking about it, I think we're going to see it. Because somebody's going to listen to this show and say, I'm going to go to a ball game. I'm going to go ahead and listen to everything the players say. I'll try to get every ounce of anything I can. And I'm going to see if something potentially could offend me and I could bring that to court and make millions of dollars. What do you think of that? I mean, who the hell has ever thought of that? I just thought of that right now. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's ever thought of it, but I just thought of that right now thinking, geez, as a former player, boy, I said a lot of things on the field, but that's amongst your teammates and among the other team as well. Then it's all in good fun because you're still friends even after the games and whatnot, even though it's the enemy team. It doesn't matter. You're playing in this city or that city. You're playing the team from the opposing city. It doesn't matter. You're still friends. You're still hanging out, whatever. And you say things to your friends out there, and a lot of it's just joking around or whatnot, but people actually get offended with this stuff, or so they say. So they could do what? They could file some kind of a hokey lawsuit and say, well, I've been traumatized. And it's like the person that got some coffee from a fast food place and they sued them because they ordered hot coffee. Well, it's like, well, what is the limit for hot coffee? Where do you draw the line? And then they got millions of dollars because they had some hot water or hot coffee spilled on them, or they hit a bump and the coffee maybe burnt their hand or they burnt their tongue or some crap like that. And then suddenly there's a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Oh, and by the way, you know what happens then? That's right, the prices go up. Everybody loses. Yet one person gets some kind of a BS lottery ticket win. But what happens to everybody else? Everybody loses. So with this whole butt slapping thing, back to that, you ask yourself, okay, to what end? Okay, let's just say the players are okay with it. But what if the unthinkable? What if you're there and one of the fans watches two teammates hug or butt slap or something to that effect, and they get offended? And believe me, folks, anything could happen in today's time. I wouldn't be surprised that a fan wouldn't try to sue the team or the league or whatever for inappropriate behavior on the field. Now think about that one when we're on break, folks, because that actually could happen. You never know. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus, more mayhem to come.
You'll get your chance, smart guy.
All right, break it up.
Certainly.
You nitwit. Leave him alone. Quiet. Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Marine Master Cell, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by The Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorder shows, which can be found on all streaming platforms. And also check out those partners on the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. And one of those is the music of Jason Owens, country music star. Check him out at jasonowensmusic.com. That's jasonowensmusic.com, playing Las Vegas and all over the place. Played Vegas over a couple of hundred times. Got to tell you, man, the guy is good. Check him out at jasonowensmusic.com. All right, welcome back to everybody. Radio and TV. You know who you are. Everybody streaming as well. By the way, folks, in the last segment, right at the beginning, it was a quick announcement for Vacation Buddies. We're going to go ahead and repeat that in case you're just tuning in right now. If you're looking for a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, and you know how to answer a very simple trivia question, maybe this is for you. Contact Vacation Buddies at 888-576-5777 if you know the answer to the simple trivia question. Which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Shaquille O'Neal, C, Kobe Bryant, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, back to this weirdness thing. It was the proverbial, I guess it was the kiss on the head, and it was the possibility of a lawsuit with fans and whatnot seeing things that they can't seem to handle psychologically or something to that effect. I don't know, whatever. It was an interesting dialogue because nobody ever talks about it. It seems like every other show is scared to talk about it. Oh, that's taboo. We can't do that. Oh, no, that goes against what we believe. And it goes against what our sponsors believe and what our listeners may believe. And we don't want the money to get funny, so we're not going to talk about it. And honestly, those are the type of shows that first of all, I don't listen to other shows. You know why? I don't listen to other shows because I don't want to sound like other shows. And people say, well, you know, they do a pretty good job. You're right. They do a good job, and good for them. And frankly, I would just give this word of advice to everybody out there that does their own blasted podcast, seeing that there's about, 3 million of them out there. Some crazy number. But in any event, if you're trying to learn how to do broadcasting in the first place, you're going to have to learn how to speak clearly, concisely. You're going to have to be able to express yourself and also speak with good voice and diction. No filler words, no like, none of that crap. You're going to have to speak clear and keep your audience engaged. Well, part of it is also organizing your thoughts. So if you're all over the place, it's awfully hard for the audience to follow you. And so you think about forming an argument, supporting it, and moving on to the next one. Some shows do rapid fire Q&A, and some shows, like what I do, develop a topic. I like developing the topic. It's more fun that way. Then you can spend some time instead of rapid fire. They tried to get me to do that at Fox 1340 right here in Las Vegas when I started many, many years ago. And I said, no, that's just not my style. I don't want to do that because everybody else was doing that at the time. And the same studio I started in is the same exact studio that Colin Cowherd started in. In fact, I had the same board operator, the same producer as Colin did. And also John Tornauer, JT the Brick, also come out of the same studio. And of course, they didn't realize way back in the day when I started there that I would be yet the third syndicated show to come out of that studio. And they told me how bad I was and how terrible I was. And there was awkward moments in that too. I even got yelled at, believe it or not. I got yelled at in my first show on air. And so you're going to have to go in the Wayback Time Machine to hear that. But you could actually hear the producer yelling at me in the middle of the program because I wasn't following his instructions. Now, I'm not going to call him out by name, but if you go back and listen to it, you'll be able to listen to it. And he's a very good producer, too. he produced the other shows. But there's always weirdness, and weirdness is fun. And Colonel Bucky, who's been with us for a very, very long time, he started producing our shows back in 2017. It was May. We started with him at KMZQ 670 The Score over in Las Vegas, right across the street from the Mandalay Bay. And that was AM 670 The Score. It turned into, it was an SB Nation station from back in the day. And so he had said in one line that really sums up the sports circus. He said, "It's a circus and you prove it every day." Right? Nice round of applause for him. And it's funny because I still say that every day. But when you look on the field, and this is where I'm going with you, when you look on the field and you see these weird moments, you say, well, okay, well, this guy's hugging, this guy's bat flipping, which bat flipping is a whole different discussion. These crazy end zone celebrations. Everyone says, look at me, I want all the attention. But what about what Bleacher Report has to say about the 20 most awkward hugs and butt slaps in sports? And mind you, this is dated a little bit, but it's interesting the way that they break it down, because they say there's nothing wrong with two men hugging, and it ain't no fun if the homies can't bro slap a rear every once in a moon cycle, but sometimes team spirit gets uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable, they say. The following situations are moments in sports where awkwardness reaches the height of its form when embrace lasts too long. Butts were unceremoniously slapped, and both parties walked away feeling weirder about life. So they say these are the most awkward hugs and butt slaps in sports. I got to tell you, I'm going to go ahead and start this off with something that I saw not too terribly long ago, and it was when a pitcher knew that they were going to get traded. Now, they always gave hugs in the bullpen, whatever, to their teammates. But when there's a little bit of ass grab involved, that's when it gets really weird. And you're seeing both players kind of doing this. And the eyes don't lie. The television camera didn't lie. They didn't blend or mend anything together. They didn't splice anything together. And you're watching the raw footage, and you're saying, okay, well, hey, these guys are good friends. And wow, I guess how good of friends are they? And so obviously the internet went bananas over it. The television went bananas over it. I mean, maybe that's just their way. I don't know. I don't give a damn. But I've been in the bullpen, and I've seen some weird things, but not like that. But I've seen some weird things happen. And sometimes you just shut the hell up and you just move on with your life. But because of the age of the internet, I mean, shoot, there was no internet when I was playing. I mean, that was back when rabbit ears were on TVs. However, when you see things that you can't explain, like living here in Las Vegas, listen, first of all, I see Elvis at the grocery store, at the gas station, at the post office, as much as I go to these places every day, every other day, every third day. You can see Elvis all over town. And you think it's weird, but you say, no, it's Vegas. Okay, so when you see strange thing happen on the field, in the dugout, whatever, in the bullpen, you say, all right, well, that's just a part of the game. So if you're feeling a little uncomfortable at any point, try to make the best of it. And when life gives you awkward turtles, they say, from Bleacher Report, make turtle soup. Now, I happen to like turtles. And that's for you, Bleacher Report. But anyway, they have some weird moments. And of course, you think back to the Brett Favre situation, explains the proper butt slapping technique. And of course, while it's not a particular butt slap, you need to hear Brett Favre, which I'm not going to actually let this play. I really don't want to let this play, but you got to realize that he actually has an explanation for this. You can find it on your own. And of course, Bleacher Report says, well, he and I agree on a form of the non-cupping rule. And I guess that's what that baseball situation was. And of course, some magical quotes allegedly came from the video. Did you watch American Idol? And you don't want to cup it, you want to smack it. So, all that said, we think of Wally Zerbiak, and he lets some fly. So think about this. Wally Zerbiak, as Brett Favre stated, there are a few rules to butt slapping in sports. Make solid contact, Don't look at the butt you're slapping, and don't cup the hand. That's pretty good stuff. And, hey, there's a lot of truth to that, in my opinion, also. And Wally Szczerbiak broke all of those rules when he slapped LeBron James in the butt back in Cleveland at one point, and he stares at LeBron's you-know-what, obviously lining up the shot, and then he goes in for the soft slap, something you never do. No! And his hands are wide open with miles of space between each finger, which means you're going to end up cupping it. And this is exactly how not to butt slap. That's the Wally Szczerbiak version of it. And let's face it, folks, there is a lot more weirdness to this. So when we come back for the break, we're going to run over some of these just because we can. It's a weird show. And listen, it is a circus, and we do prove it every day. Don't go anywhere.
She got a great ass, and you got your head all the way up it.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Excellent.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today. Don't let your retirement accounts get caught off guard by trade and tariff wars. Learn why a Genesis Gold IRA is the number one choice for thousands of Americans across the nation. 800-709-4423. 800-709-4423. 800-709-4423. That's 800-709-4423.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
All right, there's the circus music. Remember I said it's a circus and we prove it every day? Well, there's the music that sort of comes with it, albeit the can. It is what it is. It sounds like circus music, and guess what? That's what we do. All right. Welcome back to everybody, and that is everybody on TV and radio and streaming on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, plus all social media platforms, including our friends over on Facebook on Chicago Food Favorites. Check out Chicago Food Favorites, a fun food group. Talk about your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes, your favorite foods. Make some friends, have some fun on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And don't spam it. Whatever you do, don't spam it, because I am the administrator for it and I will boot your ass off. All right. All right, moving forward here in the last segment, talking a little bit about these weird moments. Bleacher Report had this article. It's a little bit dated, but it's kind of fun. And the top line of it, it says, the 20 most awkward hugs and butt slaps in sports. I mean, look, some people are offended by this stuff. You got to find humor in this, folks. Look, not everything is going to offend everybody. Not everything is going to irritate everybody. You think of, as they call it, being Bleacher Report, tender, nurturing, random as a flash mob. At first glance, few things reek of forced fraternization more than embrace shares between, for example, Ray Lewis and Michael Phelps. Remember that one? During a Baltimore Ravens game against the Bengals way back in the time machine of 2012. It's funny to say that. Upon further investigation, however, it turns out that Ray Lewis and Phelps are actually good friends. In fact, Phelps said that Lewis helped him earn gold medals, to which we can only say, quote, sure, why not, close quote. So is there a real awkward moment there? I don't know. But what about when a fan whiffs a butt slap? Now, you don't really hear that one too often, but think about this. Somebody sitting in the front row at a basketball game with the Orlando Magic, for example, back when they were wearing the regular pinstripes. It's kind of humorous because they look like the New York Yankees of the basketball world. But apparently she'd been planning it for a long time. So how many long days and sleepless nights had this fan been wanting to slap Jameer Nelson's ass? That's the big question. How many times has she stood in front at the office break room, staring into a used coffee filter, thinking, quote, just once, I'm getting courtside tickets and showing that man love, close quote. All that planning, and then what does she do? The unthinkable, and she whiffs on the butt slap. Well, you don't really get that chance too often, but that's what happens sometimes. I mean, what's the awkwardness level on that? It sort of moves into it's like moving into a new apartment, making a pizza, but doesn't own a pizza cutter. That's how weird it is. How about the flavor of hugs? So Bleacher Report says Tom Coughlin and Flava Flav hugged each other. That actually happened. Now, once upon a time, I knew Flav, and Flav's a good guy. And I know he's an affectionate kind of guy, whatever. And look, we'll never see another weird situation seemingly like that, like the time when one of the oldest, most intense coaches in the NFL put his arms around a former member of Public Enemy after the New York Giants won the Super Bowl back in 2012. Back there, there's that number again. So it was surreal and majestic at the same time. And somewhere in the mountains north of New Delhi, a shiver of joy ran up the Dalai Lama's spine the moment the two men touched. Awkwardness level seemed very, very high. How about Fletcher Cox? How about that one? When he didn't want to let go. That's right. And if you're watching a video, there's a video out there. You got to actually skip to the minute 26 mark for a lengthy embrace. And of course, like a son coming home from war is the phrase really most used to describe the hug shared between Roger Goodell. Hold on. Roger Goodell, we got something for you. That's right. Every time Goodell's name is said on this show, there's an astounding round of boos just like Gary Bettman. Nonetheless, between Roger Goodell and, of course, Fletcher Cox. You may remember that he was the 2012 first-round draft pick at that time for the Philadelphia Eagles. But there's almost no end to it. It's like, my God, when is this thing going to end? There will be blood. And it just goes on. And by the time it ends, you're completely drained of your capacity to, I wouldn't even say appreciate it, but it's almost like, man, look, I got to go to the bathroom. I just can't sit here and watch this. The awkwardness level on it, look, the door was big enough for both of them. That's how awkward it was. How about John Cena's when he says, tap that ass? So nothing like a pre-planned rear whacking to get the awkward stew boiling. So the butt smack itself, and there's a video for it, is as awkward as John Cena's acting, as Bleacher Report says. And Stephanie McMahon didn't mind the weird of it, though. Awkwardness level, who the hell knows on this one? How about one moment of heaven with Dontari Poe? 2012, there it is again. NFL draft was the biggest day in this guy's life. And when the Memphis Tigers, that's right, the Memphis Tigers defensive tackle was selected 11th overall by the Kansas City Chiefs, well, things escalated pretty quick. And Poe hugged, yes, Roger Goodell again. Hold on a second. We got Roger Goodell, so what do we have? That's right. That's right. The name always accompanies the booze. Name equal booze. So when Poe hugged him, that's right, things took a weird turn. And for the uncomfortable, that is, when the big lineman went snout to snout with the commissioner, and I would imagine, boy, if that was me, I probably would have hurled. How about Percy Harvin? This one's sort of a surprise. And so, yeah, he says, quote, yeah, I slapped that. You know what's up, close quote. No one is saved from a solid rear wrapping when Percy Harvin is around, and Harvin nearly surprised the gravy out of the then Florida Gators head coach Urban Myers in the 2008 BCS title game. The awkward part is that Meyer clearly isn't used to being slapped on the ass by his players. And of course, the contract and the contact itself caused him to pop up and turn on Harvin. And yes, the eye contact between them was tense, and there was an uncomfortable moment when Harvin looked like he was afraid and he had stepped over the line. It ended up being cool, though, of course, presumably because the national title was just won, which makes everything better anyway. And of course, the awkwardness level is, hey man, did you just grab my ass? That's how you got to look at that one, if you know what I mean. Right, so anyway, moving on. We also have the no touching in the lane ref in basketball. And so there was a play, and we think back to Myers-Leonard, was either doing something this ref didn't like, or the man was suddenly overwhelmed with the need to butt his hand on the Illinois center's behind. That's right, butt his hand. Either way, it's hard to explain. If Leonard was crowding the lane, just let him know by calling a foul. No need to go Uncle Stick Hands on the kid. The awkwardness level on this. So that's how they do it over there. Oh, I gotcha. All right. So all that said, look, there are a lot of weird moments in sports. And of course, the proverbial Randy Johnson's unlucky bird encounter and the infamous pine tar thing with George Brett, disco demolition in Chicago. How about the old thing, speaking of asses, how about the butt fumble play? In case you don't know, in case you've been living under a rock, this is one of those ones. A bizarre incident unfolded, yes, in 2012, game between the Jets and the Patriots that would leave an indelible mark on NFL history. And of course, that's back when Mark Sanchez, the Jets quarterback, attempted to salvage a broken play inadvertently, colliding with the backside of his own teammate, Brandon Moore. The force of the impact caused Sanchez to fumble the football, which was promptly scooped up by the Patriots' Steve Gregory and returned for a touchdown. This unforgettable moment in sports, now famously known as the butt fumble, quickly became a viral sensation, spawning countless memes and parodies, according to every friggin' social outlet you could think of, and every sports outlet and every gossip outlet. It's crazy. The play not only solidified its place as one of the most embarrassing moments in NFL history, also served as a symbol of the Jets' struggles during that period. Replayed on sports broadcast and endlessly dissected by commentators, the butt fumble turned into a cautionary tale for quarterbacks about the importance of situational awareness and the need to think quickly under pressure, and the incident remains a vivid reminder of how one single play can define an athlete's career for better or for worse. And I will tell you, there's another one that occurred that I remember, and talk about defining somebody's career. And I think back to somebody that we know over here, we know pretty well, and that's Gus Frerotte. And Gus Frerotte was one of those guys that liked to celebrate with his team. And, well, Gus got so excited one time, from what I seem to recall, that Gus, after a touchdown, I believe he ran into the end zone. I've got this video being played in my brain here. I believe he ran into the end zone and, I guess, technically headbutted the side wall or the end wall in the end zone and hurting himself. I mean, that was probably one of the stupidest plays that I think I could ever remember. And I just don't want to ask Gus about it. Of course, Gus will probably listen to this and he'll probably call me and yell at me. But the thing is, when you see somebody make an asinine move on a field, and I don't care if it's ramming your head into a wall or doing something stupid, a butt fumble, maybe it's a slap on the ass, a grab on the ass, I don't know, whatever it is. I mean, look, it could be a weird moment of sorts. And sometimes you just don't want to ask them because they're already embarrassed enough about it. And the last thing they want to do is be reminded of it. Oh, by the way, it's being played constantly, seemingly decades later. It's still all over the place. And that's when you know you did something pretty darn special, good, bad, or indifferent. So the butt fumble lives on in infamy, just like some of these other moves, just like the Gus Frerotte in the end zone jamming his head into a wall, which I believe hurt his neck or something. I don't know. But what a disaster. Anyway, folks, this whole show was that way. It's a circus, and what do? We prove it every day. That's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your ringmaster, Sal. We'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.